Welcome back to True Storm Football. I'm Travis Sumter, TJ Sumter, 55. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook. What we got tonight?
Mike Boniker, what's up?
Zach Kurtz. You can find me Zach Kurtz 54 because I'm one level lower than Travis on Instagram.
All right, so tonight we're going to be doing a little mock draft. I got the first pick here. Let's get to it.
So who do you got ranked as one overall? CMC?
I got to stick with the volume monster.
Right. I mean, no matter what, even though he had that injury last year, I still see him as the number one. Like it's hard to just let him go anywhere. And like I've seen ones where I'm getting him in like the 4th and 5th pick overall, and it's like what? All right, so I've got the number 3 pick, and I'm going to go with my number 2 ranked running back, Alvin Kamara. I think that boy's got all out again.
How does that worry you if Taysom Hill's under center that he could lose some goal line touches?
Well, from what I've seen, that they've got Jameis as their starting quarterback, so which means they'll probably still use Taysom as the Swiss Army knife. Well,
yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out in New Orleans.
Yeah.
All right, I'm up. I really don't want to do this, but I got to go with the value. This is PPR, right, Travis?
Yes.
I got to take Elliott. I feel like he's the only true workhorse left here.
Yeah, I mean, getting him at the 8th pick isn't horrible either.
Yeah. I mean, he finished as the running back 9 last season, and that was without Dak.
Right.
Yeah, I think he's probably like one of the safest picks you can make, like especially when you're picking, kind of that spot. Kind of because you guys got like Derrick Henry and then Zeke running back to back there. Like that, I think they're 2 of the safest picks in that position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Zeke's got a higher ceiling though with the pass catching role.
Absolutely, but I have seen like the videotapes of Derrick Henry. He's been doing some pass catching work in the offseason.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see him like if he can get that catching down, then I mean he could end up with so much value. But I think if they just keep using him as that guy that's going to just run through everyone, I think he's going to just be torn down. Like there's too much wear and tear on a body to be constantly running through people. And he's one of those guys that I feel like he's got like that Marshawn Lynch where it's going to take a few people to take you down, but he only has that Marshawn Lynch if he's got the momentum. Like Marshawn can catch the ball and immediately you need 5 people to take that dude down because he's moving them feet and he's pushing through everyone. Mm-hmm. Derrick Henry needs to get that momentum to push through everyone. So he needs that 1 or 2 yards to get that momentum already rolling.
Yeah, one of the things too is like I could just see out of necessity that the Titans are going to have to use him more in the passing game this year too because they lack receiver big time this year.
Yeah. I mean, getting rid of Corey Davis, as much as I didn't value Corey Davis that high, because he wasn't able to do it to show his abilities. It's still another guy on that field that was able to make that catch. So they were able to trust him so that they didn't have to depend on passing it to Henry.
I'm hoping to get Eckler here. Actually, I shouldn't have said that. Brandon could be watching.
Yeah, I don't think Brandon's high on him, though.
I'm super high on Eckler.
I think he has the ability because, he showed up. He showed that he can do that. Can be that number one running back there.
Yeah.
But getting him in the second round, I have no problem with that.
Yeah, he was running back 2 years ago, and he didn't drop off much last year. He just missed a few games.
Yeah, what you're saying, his points per game was still there.
Yeah.
I'm sure Brandon was real salty that DK Metcalf went right before him because otherwise that's his boy. Man, this I'm super happy about getting DeAndre Hopkins right here. I have him rated as probably my second or third wideout. I'm also real high on DeAndre Hopkins. I've always been, but I think that with that offense, it's hard to justify him not going off, especially if AJ Green can somehow get away from his turf toe that he's had for 17 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good value there.
As much as I usually like to hit that running back, but when DeAndre Hopkins is still there at the end of the second round, I got to snatch him.
Ooh, Travis Kelce off the board.
Oh, he has the first pick that I can make fun of.
Excuse me?
I can't push myself to ever take a tight end that early.
Yeah, especially one in his 30s.
Right. Given it's not a dynasty, so at least it's not like you have to worry about, if you're going to be able to hold on to him for years and stuff. But at the same time, it's just hard for me to do that.
So last year it was Travis Kelce. If you put him in the wide receiver pool and a PPR, he would have finished as the wide receiver 3 in PPR. So I feel more than comfortable taking him at 20. And taking AJ Brown too is the volume is going to be there, kind of like what we were talking about, the lack of pass catchers in Tennessee. AJ Brown should receive nearly all the volume. He's going to have a 30 to 35% target share in this offense. I think he'll be absolutely unstoppable this year, and he will solidify himself as a first-round pick coming into 2022. Mark my words.
See, I don't have the same thought just because of the fact that I don't have that much faith in Tannehill. As much as I have faith in AJ Brown, I don't have that faith that I can hold him up there with Tannehill being there. I get that he did pretty good with Tannehill last year, but I don't think that he can. I couldn't think about taking him right here how you took him before Keenan Allen, before Calvin Ridley. I don't think that I could justify that.
I think the upside is definitely there with Davis and Humphreys both gone. And Jonnu Smith.
Yeah. But at the same time, when you take away a lot of those guys, that takes pressure off of the defense having to cover the whole field, which means that they're going to put all that pressure straight onto him.
I got one name for you, Derrick Henry. They have to fill the box every time.
Yeah.
As long as both are healthy, AJ Brown should eat.
Want to get a rundown, a recap of the board, Travis?
Yeah. So first round we got Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook going second, Alvin Kamara, Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, Devontae Adams, Derrick Henry, Ezekiel Elliott, Stephon Diggs, Nick Chubb, Then the second round, we had DK Metcalf go. We had Tyreek Hill, Austin Eckler, Cam Akers, DeAndre Swift, Justin Jefferson, Aaron Jones, DeAndre Hopkins, which I think is a great value that late, just to put that out there. I think DeAndre Hopkins should definitely be taken in front of Justin Jefferson. Antonio Gibson, Travis Kelce, A.J. Brown, Keenan Allen, which for me, it was between Keenan Allen and A.J. Brown there. Calvin Ridley, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Najee Harris, David Johnson, Joe Mixon, Michael Thomas. Man, how the mighty have fallen there. Yeah.
I have a feeling that at either in the next 3 picks, I guarantee pretty much Josh Jacobs is gone, because I think that Brandon is going to end up taking him if David doesn't take him, because with having those 2 wide receivers already. Yep, there you go. See, told you.
See, that's about
Mahomes being like. See, this is the one thing. Like, I couldn't do what David did. I can't take Waller and Pat Mahomes in the 3rd and 4th round, because I feel like I could wait on tight ends and quarterbacks. Even if you did just grab, a number 1 quarterback and a number 2 tight end, I still think that I could wait and get someone else that's still going to be close to value later on.
Yeah. I love what Bobby and Micah did, stacking running backs like that. Like, that's great building blocks right there.
Yeah, I tend to usually do that, but I couldn't pass up getting Hopkins and then Ridley right there. I did debate on taking Josh Jacobs in that 3rd round, just so that I could have another running back that I believe in. But I felt like it was just I had to wait to try to get him in the 4th round. I mean, Brandon getting Josh Jacobs at the beginning of the 4th round, I think, is great value, because he is that all-around running back where he can catch the ball, he can run the ball, and he's shown time and time again that he can do that.
Yeah, I just don't know if the volume will be there with Drake now.
I still think that Drake is kind of there just to kind of back him up.
I mean, I feel like Drake's going to have more of a role than that. I mean, they're paying him, what, $11 million contract?
For 2 years?
Yeah. I feel like, over $5 million for a running back is more than, just a change of pace guy.
This is a very difficult pick for me right now.
Yeah, I wanted to go back to something Mike was saying about him his buddy taking Josh Jacobs there at the 4th and kind of predicting that. That's all about knowing who you're drafting with and knowing your draft room, and that use that to your advantage every time.
Oh yeah, and he 100% made sure that he was grabbing Josh Jacobs just because he knew that Jacobs was going to get taken by me if he comes to me.
I wouldn't have let that happen.
You know what? I'm going to go a little bit off board. We're going to go with James Robinson just because I have seen that they were using NTN as a wide receiver in camp, which shows you that they might actually be holding on to James Robinson and using NTN as a wide receiver and mixing him around. I have zero faith in Miles Sanders, so I couldn't take Miles Sanders. So,
you know who else has zero faith in Miles Sanders?
Miles Sanders.
Yeah. Where we at? 5. Oh, this one's tough here. I'm between 2 players.
Good value.
I did look at Julio for my pick, but I was like, I can't. I hate having both wide receivers for the same team, because as soon as you hit that bye week, it's like, all right, now what?
I'd honestly, I mean, if a lot of players in the same bye week, I don't really worry about that while I'm drafting, because you ever look at your rosters from when you draft to the season, and if you have an active league, most of your players are going to be Goster.
Julio is very slim. I mean, yeah, you could trade him, but and then this one I'm going to do what's different from most people is I'm going to take Mike Evans before I take Chris Godwin because of the fact that I have more faith in Evans because he has shown that he can be that guy constantly. Like, he's that consistent guy.
Yeah, he's that red zone threat.
Yeah. I mean, last year when he got injured, he came back for, 3 plays or something and ended up just getting, 1 touchdown for 5 yards for a reception. It was all right, I'll take that, real quick. Just grab that touchdown and get back out of the game.
You're going to be screwed at running back too, Travis.
Actually, this is part of my strategy. I'm not worried about it. So, I will explain it. Maybe I'll do an article on it about how I'm drafting this. Yeah, there's just a certain strategy I have here with drafting at the 1-1, and that's probably going to write about it.
This the console is I couldn't do what he's doing right now because he's stacking himself with a lot of rookies where, don't get me wrong, I don't feel like Najee Harris or Jamar Chase are going to fail at all. But at the same time, you haven't watched them do any snaps in the NFL yet. And having 2 of them within the first 5 rounds, it kind of gets to that real high risk. As much as I love high-risk players, that's a little too high risk for me.
Yeah, you're drafting them at their ceiling at that point.
Right.
What are your thoughts on the DJ Moore pick?
So I heard he could be going to the outside more this season. They might put Terrace Marshall in the slot. I'm sure you guys have been hearing a lot of the same things.
Mm-hmm.
DJ Moore, I think he's fine. I don't know. I don't know how you can really.
With Curtis Samuel out of there, I think his ceiling is definitely higher.
Yes, but he's always lacked the touchdown, and I would love to have him. It's just one of these times I'm going to miss out on the touchdown year, and that's one thing I don't want to miss out on.
Well, the thing I'm wondering is I can't remember right now. Who's the quarterback over there right now?
Darnold.
So, I mean, you're basically depending on Darnold to show up, which I think this is his chance. I mean, this is his make it or break it. Either he has to do something this year or he's chalked up as he is Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think he'll be good with Moore, though.
Yeah. I do like Josh Allen. If I'm going to take quarterbacks early, that would be a nice snag, is grabbing him in that 5th round.
Mm-hmm. I mean, personally, I'd go Murray over Allen.
I would too.
I would have Allen next.
Yeah. Well, and the one thing is I know that he might be doing the same thing as my brain goes to a lot of times where I have issues, is because I play so many dynasties that I do sit there and in my head I'm valuing that youth to make sure that I'm getting as young as possible, which doesn't end up succeeding a lot of times for me because then I'm like, I need this guy. And it's like, you could have had this guy who's older, but still good. Oh, there goes Kyle Pitts.
I got sniped by David. I was hoping to get Johnson.
I'm kind of shocked, though, that Galladay is still going in the 5th round. I do like Daniel Jones. So, I mean, Galladay, I think, is going to do pretty good. But it's hard to do good when you've got such a horrible offensive line. I've heard so many people just shit on Daniel Jones. And it's like, look at what he did his first year. He didn't do bad at all. He did pretty consistently with he didn't do elite numbers, but he didn't do, shit numbers. And last year, you had a horrible offensive line. You had no running game at all. You had Wayne Gallman in most of the year. Like, that's not okay. Once you got Barkley back, you've got, I think they grabbed at least one or two people throughout the offseason as an offensive line. I think that kid can ball out, especially having Galladay and all them there. Like, he's still got Sterling Shepard. Which Sterling Shepard's no joke. That dude still shows up.
Evan says, I'd take Corey Davis over Galladay. I don't know about that.
No. I would definitely not. All right. I've already got so many wideouts, but I can't pass them up right here. I'm going to take Cooper Kupp. I think with Stafford, he is going to ball out.
I'm personally a Woods guy. But, yeah, Cooper Kupp's good value.
You know what?
You got to go running back here, Travis.
Well, that's where I'm going here. I'm going with Raheem Mostert here. Followed up.
I do think Mostert's a good pick right there, especially with McKinnon out of town. That's as long as that kid can stay healthy, I think that he's just gonna be a monster again. And he's definitely worth the 6th round. I finally was debating on taking a quarterback, and then you took my quarterback. So now I'm just going to wait till the end again.
I figure this is appropriate value time to take Kyler. I don't think he would have made it back to me, and he's probably one of my favorite quarterbacks to have this year.
I can promise you he wouldn't have gotten back to you because I was debating on taking him 2 picks after. See, and I love looking at these rankings and stuff and seeing these guys that they're just way too high, I feel like. And then there's the people like my next pick that I feel like are way too low. I'm going to take James Conner right here. With him being in Arizona now, I think that it's the perfect spot. As long as he stays healthy, he'll be fine there. I mean, even Kenyon Drake did good for a while there. As much as I love David Johnson, his value is once he got injured, it shut him down. Like, he has no longer been that guy that he was. If he would have never gotten injured, I think he still would have been a top 10 running back. But once that injury hit him, he just he can't do what he used to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can tell you something. Last year, he did finish the season off strong, at least for me in one of my leagues. He had 31 points or something in PPR format. So.
Oh, yeah, and I had him in almost every one of my leagues because of the fact that last year he was dropping down to, double-digit rounds. And it was like, okay, I'm content with taking a guy that has the talent. He just hasn't been able to show up in the past couple of years. But you knew he had that talent, and if he was given the right opportunity, he was going to show up.
I'm going to bank on Trevor Lawrence here. Hope the Shark balls out like he was in the beginning of 2019.
Honestly, I looked, even though I was kind of running back needy that turn, I was actually looking at Shark when I picked last turn.
Mm-hmm. What do you guys think about the Smith pick?
I don't hate it. I mean, at this point, you're getting a wide receiver that is going to be the number 1 wide receiver on the team. So you automatically know that. While you've got other people like Brandon Ayuk, Higgins, Juju, stuff like that, where you don't necessarily know there's a number one wide receiver on the team, and they're going before him. So it's one of those it was hard to pass him up at this point because of the fact that he's got the volume for sure. It's just a matter of do you trust the Eagles? Lamar Jackson on the same team as Pat Mahomes. See, and you know that he's probably thinking of it as he's drafting like a super flex.
Or trade bait.
Oh, yeah, or trade bait, which, I mean, it's not a horrible plan. That pick I do like, Mike Davis. I think in ATL he's going to do great because of the fact that, I mean, Gurley hasn't showed up in years. Pretty much since he started getting injured, he wasn't that guy anymore. And Mike Davis has shown last year that he can still be that guy when CMC went down. So, I mean, getting him in the 8th round, I feel like is a great pick. And I usually hate complimenting Brandon on his drafts. So that says something.
I got to go for Melvin Gordon here. Need that running back 4.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to pass him up because, like, you know that he can do something. It's just a matter of, is he going to do something?
I feel like they're going to ease Javonte Williams in, too. Like, he's not going to bump him out right away. That'll be later in the season. And even if that did happen, it would still be a tandem.
Yeah, I mean, you never know with the Broncos. They tend to, a lot of times, you need to either ball out or you're gone.
Yeah, I feel like with their quarterback situation, they're going to have to lean heavily on the running game, though.
See, and I hate to always say this, but why I don't like the Rodgers pick right there, especially with how you don't know his situation yet. Taking Rodgers before Herbert, in my mind, is ridiculous right now just because of the situation that is going on over there.
He's probably looking for that Adams-Rodgers stack, though.
It's because he's a Packer fan. He's got that homer pick.
That.
That's why Devonta Adams went before Derrick Henry.
In a PPR league, I think I'd do that, too.
You know what? I'm going to go Chase Claypool right here. Just because he has shown that he can be that guy. I know you're higher on Deontay Johnson.
This is good value for Claypool, though.
Right. And I think that Claypool, I think what it's going to come down to is one of them is going to be hot every week. It's going to be either Deontay Johnson or Claypool. Juju is going to be somewhat, I think, consistently getting his points, but he's not going to be getting, 20 to 30 points a game. He's going to get more like 12.
Mm-hmm. Evan says he just got 2 tickets to the Jags-Bills game on November 7th. Good for you. That's most likely going to be a loss, though.
Right.
Be nice to see Lawrence play in person, though.
See, I think the one thing that people are not accounting for with Lawrence is the whole situation where because he hasn't lost a game in his, career, once he gets that first loss, that confidence drops. And confidence is a huge thing when you're playing quarterback is you need to be confident you can get the job done. There's been many people that as soon as they started losing confidence in themselves, they were no longer, a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong. I still see it as Lawrence.
I don't think Lawrence is that type of guy.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I still think that Lawrence is going to do good, but I think that it's a hard thing where you're so confident because you haven't lost anytime you're on the field that as soon as you get that loss, it's a humbling moment where it's going to show you like you can lose. It's.
I mean, he did lose the championship. He just didn't lose a regular season game.
Right. Man, I've got so many wideouts, but I still want to. Nah.
So when it came back to me at the turn there, I took Leonard Fournette and Devin Singletary. I feel like Tom Brady trusts Fournette more when he's in the pocket for protection. Also, Fournette's the main pass catcher. We could see Giovanni Bernard, but at the same time, Leonard Fournette, he's not. I'm not going to depend on him as my RB1 or 2 in this draft. He's coming down as my RB3. And then I picked up Devin Singletary, which a lot of people are down on, kind of. But I've heard he's beefed up in this offseason to take more of a pounding. So, we'll see what maybe he can kind of take the next step forward here with this offense, and maybe we could see something from him. So, and I'm same thing with Fournette. I'm not depending on him. He's my RB4.
The only reason that I'm skeptical with Singletary is just because of Zach Moss. You have both those guys that could easily be that starting running back. I loved Devin Singletary right away. But I think I hate grabbing that guy that could possibly be in a committee.
I just did that.
Yeah, but it's hard to do because of the fact that that he could be the number one, but you also know that he might be put in the back burner. And don't get me wrong, how you took him, because of the fact that you, like you said, they're the fourth running back and stuff. It's not bad, because that if he does show up and he becomes that number one running back on the team, you just got to steal. And if he doesn't and he sits there in a committee, you still got him, as your fourth or fifth. It's just the people that draft where they have to depend on that guy is where it's getting a little rough.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the Rojo pick, but I do like the Damian Harris pick.
Me too. I'm biased, though. I think this is great value here for Tyler Boyd. I mean, he was on fire with Burrow. And the year before that, he was a monster for PPR formats. I know, it's kind of crowded there, but they don't have much at the tight end position. I think there's plenty of room for targets.
But the problem is
they're going to have to catch up.
The problem that I see is the fact that they did grab Moss, and because Burrow and him have chemistry, because they played together already, that I think is going to affect Boyd a lot. That could just be me thinking it because he's Randy Moss's son, but at the same time,
I think he's going to need a year or two to develop into a starting role there.
I think he's got to be the number one tight end there, because who's going to start over him? CJ Uzomah?
That's what I'm thinking.
If Moss and Burrow have that chemistry, I think that right away jumps him up into that start.
I mean,
it'd be a different story
has chemistry too.
Yeah, but I think it'd be a different story if Uzomah was balling out. Then they would be like, no, you're going to sit behind him. But I think with the fact that Moss has that upside, let's say it that way.
Yeah, definitely.
He could definitely end up being that guy that gets you your points. But
yeah, I don't think he'll be competing with Boyd as much, though.
Yeah, Boyd already has enough competition. He doesn't need more.
I think Boyd will be absolutely okay. I don't imagine him falling off too much. Kind of what you were saying, Zach. Boyd, they're bringing in Chase.
Chase, yeah.
Yeah, they're bringing in Chase, but they're bringing in Jamar Chase, and he's going to come in, but I don't see where there's going to be a big competition for less targets or anything for Boyd.
Be behind so often.
Yeah, because you got to also think this this offense, they also lost AJ Green, and I think he was like somewhere around 112 targets or something last year. So, I mean,
there's
addition by subtraction.
That reminds me, Michael Carter and Trey Sermon going back to back. Did you want to get to the mailbag, Travis?
We'll do that right at the end here. That's kind of when I want to go over that stuff. But yeah, we'll get into that at the very end here.
What do you think of those picks in the 10th?
Sermon's, he can be a possible sleeper running back coming into this year. I would think of him more as like depending on him, maybe late in the season, but he could be one of those players where you can add and, stash on your bench, or he could be one of those players where you add and you end up dropping him after a few weeks.
Well, I think it's time for me to finally take a quarterback. I'm going to go ahead and take Jalen Hurts. I feel like at this point, I think that's a beautiful fucking pick. Having him in the 10th round, especially with how many quarterbacks are already off the board. But there is still, teams like Zach and Team Extreme that don't have quarterbacks yet. I had to strike soon because otherwise I was going to end up with like Kirk Cousins.
Hey, don't hate on him. He's been top 12 for 5 of the last 6 seasons. Now someone's going to take him. But yeah, Hurts, he was quarterback 7 over the span of his starts last season. Like, that's definitely good value in the 10th round.
Someone's mic is staticking.
Right. I bet it might have been mine.
Yep, that's good now.
I like the Landry pick. It's a good floor guy.
I just want to state the obvious of me being me. I love the fact that I got Will Fuller in the 9th round. As much as that is me banking on Tua being able to drop that long ball. But I think it'll be perfect because of the fact that he's got he's got Waddle there now to take some of the consistent 10, 15 yard passes where everyone's going to have to worry about that. And Will Fuller will always be one of those guys to me where you have to have a guy that is quick on your secondary to make sure that he can keep up with him, because otherwise you can just drop them bombs all day and no one can catch up to Fuller, which means he'll get one of those, 6 receptions for 7 touchdowns. Oh, no. I was hoping that Corey Davis was coming back to me. Well, I gotta change.
You don't need another receiver anyway.
I know I don't, but I all I need really right now is technically a tight end. I'm not.
I think you got to get running back 4.
I mean,
I got 5 running backs already, and I'm looking for more.
See, but that's the thing with me is I've got a lot of guys that I know will go late, that I like. I mean, I gotta go with Zach Moss then right now.
I was hoping he dropped to me.
I figure at pick 11, as we were already talking about with Devin Singletary and Zach Moss, it can go either way as to which one starts and which one. I think it'll be another thing, just like how I was talking about with Claypool and Deontay Johnson. I think one's going to have a great game here, and then one's going to have a great game here, and then one's going to have a great game here. And it's one of those where you don't necessarily always want to start him because you know that 50% of the time he's going to not do good. But at the same time, getting him as your, 4th running back is going to be successful, I think.
There goes Tua.
I mean,
What do you guys think of the Gainwell pick?
I like the fact that I have so little faith in Miles Sanders that I think Gainwell can get his points. And at this point, it's not a horrible pick, I don't think. I mean, he has, especially for that team, it's a little rough for me because of the fact that he's got 4 running backs on his team and 3 of which are rookies. He's pretty much stacked his team with rookies because he's got Harris, Chase, Waddle, Carter, and Gainwell. He's going to be that guy that does have a lot of upside on his team, but that's a matter of if those upsides play out.
Yeah. I mean, if this was Dynasty, he'd be killing it.
Right. And I mean, even if you look at Brandon's team, with having Kyle Pitts, Devontae Smith, and then Zach Wilson, he's grabbed 3 rookies, but he grabbed them at pretty good times to grab them. I don't think he really needs Wilson necessarily because Josh Allen, but at the same time, you never know if Josh Allen doesn't do what he did last year. That'll set him up with still having Wilson there to help him out. It's kind of like I like how taking Tua after Rodgers, it kind of helps him have that backup. But at the same time, if Tua fails and Rodgers' situation gets weird, you're looking at you're going to have to scoop up someone to try to fill that spot.
Yep. I went for Lindsey to short my backfield with David Johnson as my running back 5, just in case that doesn't go well. I'm hoping to get Parker here.
And looking at David's team is I don't like it just because he's got 4 running backs on his team, and all of them are in a committee except for A.J. Dillon, who is the second. Because you've got Nick Chubb, who's in a committee. Don't get me wrong, Chubb's still going to get his points, but he's in a committee still with Hunt. Rojo's in a committee with Fournette. Damian Harris is in a committee with Sony Michel, and A.J. Dillon is sitting right behind Aaron Jones. So his running backs are going to be a little rough, I think. I mean, they could all play out, but I don't think they will.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the great quarterbacks to make up for it, and Waller.
Right, and there's a good chance he's going to end up trading like Lamar, or he would end up trading like Lamar, and then getting himself a running back.
Yeah, I'd listen to that offer.
Right. Goddard and Tanyan win now. Ruggs is an interesting one. I mean, I think that with adding John Brown on the team definitely will help him because you never know
targets to go around.
Right, especially because of the fact that you've got 2 speedy guys now that you got to figure out, like, all right, who do we put our fastest guy in the secondary on? Because if we put him on Ruggs, then John Brown's just going to smoke people down the field. If we put him on John Brown, Ruggs is going to just smoke you down the field. I'm going to go with a PPR monster in Jamison Crowder. I think even with having Corey Davis over there, Crowder's had plenty of people that have tried to take his volume away, and I think he's only going to benefit having Zach Wilson there.
Yeah, I'm a Crowder guy, but I'm a little nervous with the Elijah Moore pick. Like, he's a slot guy too.
Yeah, I mean, I still think that, like, I think they'll both end up getting their numbers. But I still think Crowder's going to be the more trustworthy, the more consistent guy, especially when it comes to PPR.
Now, Crowder, he could be a name that we could see either traded or cut. So he could end up on a different team too.
Right.
So I'm going to further my running back depth with Gus Edwards.
I like that
there's
pick a lot.
There's enough volume to go around in that offense. So I feel like he's a good, at least 10 to 12 point fill in almost any week, especially if depending on him as all the way, is he my fifth or sixth running back here? So also I'm going to take possibly the wide receiver one in Detroit. I'm going to take Bateman or Perryman here. We could see somebody's got to step up in that offense besides Hawkinson in the receiving game, and I feel like Perryman's probably going to be the number one guy this year.
See, I think differently. I think it's going to be Tyrell Williams, but at the same time, Tyrell Williams also gets injured often. He showed it last year that when he wasn't injured, he balled out on the Raiders. He's one of those guys that could be something that he can do, but at the same time, he's got to get those injuries under control. All right. Well,
there's Lawrence off the board.
Guess I'm gonna have to take a tight end finally. I'm gonna go ahead and take Hunter Henry. I think so many people are talking about with Hunter Henry and Jonnu that there's two tight ends there now. So who's going to do something? And it's like, well, you literally, if you look at it, you've got the one team that knows how to use two tight ends. And you basically just gave them two of the top, 7 tight ends. Like, you've got two guys that can easily be a number one starting tight end on someone's team. And you've got them both sitting there in Belichick's palm of his hand. And Belichick is just excited, I'm sure. He's just sitting there rock hard.
Yeah, Newton's been good with tight ends, too.
Right. Look at Greg Olsen. Greg Olsen balled when he had Cam. Mostly because Cam sucks and he has to get rid of the ball. Yeah, you took Cousins. I thought you were going to wait till the very last round you waited till the second to last.
So yeah, I was nervous. I was nervous that David or Brandon would take a third quarterback.
Yeah, honestly, if you would have taken Stafford, though, I think you'd still be perfect.
I probably would have taken Tannehill over him.
See,
Tannehill's actually very, very solid for fantasy.
Stafford hasn't been trash in fantasy, and now he's just gotten a better team.
Yeah, that's true. I think Tannehill's more durable. That's more where I was going.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Stafford's been good for fantasy while on the field.
All right, I know who I'm taking next, and if they get taken, I'm leaving. I'm going to someone else's home because I'm already at home.
I'm hoping I get Logan Thomas or Higbee to drop to me.
I'm sure you will. Well, there goes Logan Thomas.
That was my top option.
Son of a... See, this is what I say. This is what we were talking about earlier with knowing the people that you're drafting with. Brandon took Giovanni Bernard because I was going to take him. Because he knows that I have that faith in Giovanni Bernard beating that guy down there because of the fact that he's lost his job and he didn't lose his job in Cincy because he did bad. It's because of the fact that they just kept drafting running back after running back after running back. And I think with the fact that Brady and Arian both went and got this guy because they both recruited him. I think if Brady is recruiting you, that means that he's got faith in you, and that means that Arian is also going to have faith in you. And I think that for a last round pick, Gio is a beautiful pick. And as I said, now I'm going to go to someone else's home because I am already at home.
I really like the Bateman pick there. And the Hollywood Brown pick, too. Those are two guys that could very well be the number one on that offense. To get them in the, 14th round could be, a league winner.
Right.
Number one wide receiver in this offense this year.
Mm-hmm.
We go Tevin Coleman. Michael Carter will probably take that role at one point, but I don't know if they're necessarily going to start him off in that role. And in the last round, taking Tevin Coleman, who there's a possibility that he'll be the number one running back on that team, I think you can't really pass up on.
So I'm here. This is actually our last pick here, and Mr. Irrelevant. I'm between Darnell Mooney and Rondell Moore, and I'm going to go Rondell Moore here, just because I think he can probably be the second option in the game.
Right. Especially if AJ Green, gets his turf toe.
Yeah, I don't imagine AJ Green being a real threat for volume in that offense. He's probably the fourth option. Yeah. He's like I said to you last week when we were talking off to the side. I think he could be more or less their almost go-to kind of red zone tight end. Throw it up, big body, catch it in zone. They struggled with that last year, and I think that's the whole purpose why they brought AJ Green in.
Yeah.
So, want to get to the mailbag questions? Did you want to read them off, Zach, or did you? I can read them off. It doesn't.
I actually don't have them, so yeah, you got it.
Oh, okay. All right, this is so we're gonna hit the mailbag, and this is from Kevin in Massachusetts. First question is, can David Montgomery keep up his elite production from last season with the return of Tariq Cohen and the quarterback change?
That's a great question. I'm a David Montgomery guy. I traded for him a ton last year during the season. And he was running back 4 last year. I don't think he's going to be able to keep that up, but I think he's definitely being undervalued, in the rankings right now. He's usually, a low-end running back 2. I know they did get Damian Williams, but I would say he's a high-end 2 right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I think he'll slow down a little bit, but I think that he's still going to be that guy. Like Tariq Cohen, I've always been a Tariq Cohen fan, but that's because I love those receiving backs. But I think that's pretty much the only time Cohen will be seen is if they need that guy that's going to receive for him. And even that, he's not going to be the only one getting the receiving because David Montgomery can catch the ball. I think it'd be a different story if Montgomery didn't have the ability to catch. But because he can receive, I don't think he takes too big of a step back. And having Justin Fields there, it could damage him a little bit just because Justin Fields can run. But I don't think that it's going to kill him on that one.
Yeah, for me, I don't think Justin Fields is really going to take a lot from him. Tariq Cohen, I've heard they could more or less utilize Tariq Cohen more in the slot this coming season. And Damian Williams, I am not worried about taking touches away from David Montgomery at all. He's more of a change of pace kind of. Yeah. They're only going to, just end of game. End of game, end of quarter, kind of, just a he's going to get 4 to 6 carries a game. I don't really worry anything about Damian Williams. David Montgomery, his volume should be there. His production should be there. So that being said, the schedule at the end of last season really favored David Montgomery.
Mm-hmm.
I that's one of my worries. Like you kind of were saying, Zach, that like high end RB2 is kind of where I would keep him too for this coming season. All right, our next question here we got Justin from Germany. He says, "Who's the better dynasty pick, DeAndre Swift or Antonio Gibson?"
That one's super difficult. I do have to kind of give it to Swift, just because of the fact of how much he showed up last year. Don't get me wrong, Gibson did as well. But I mean, I've got to give it just by a hair. I'm giving it to DeAndre Swift. I think he can do great still. I mean, he showed up last year, and I think he's only going to do better with the fact that he's starting from the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I love both of them, but I mean, McKissick was third in targets at the position last year, and I think Swift is going to be the focal point of that Detroit offense. They really showed that drop and carry on. I think I got to go with Swift too.
Yeah, kind of what you guys are saying. The talent, he was the number one running back talent coming into last year's draft. He didn't get drafted there, but I think this year he kind of ends up in that good situation. They also did draft Sewell, and they have Ragnow in the middle. Like I said to Mike last week, they could just move Sewell 1 year inside, just kind of between him and Ragnow, or they could move Sewell all over that offensive line. Swift should have a big year this year. There should be gaping holes for him to run through on defensive lines. Yeah, I think the talent ends up winning out here.
Yeah.
Next question we have is from Justin in Las Vegas. With the unknown status of Aaron Rodgers, what is the earliest you are willing to take Devontae Adams in a redraft?
I mean, I still would take him in the second round. I'm not taking him in the first, but I still would take him in the second round. He still has shown that he has the talent. You can't let Devontae Adams drop to third, fourth round. It's just ridiculous at that point because, I mean, looking at our draft, I mean, you've got Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf, Stephon Diggs, DeAndre Hopkins, all going in the first 2 rounds. If Adams is still there near the end of the second round and you don't take him, you're taking incorrectly.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would take Adams at the turn in a PPR league. There's not enough talent around him to, make him drop too much, even if, Love or Bortles are throwing to him. He's going to get peppered with targets. I think there's too high of a ceiling, too high of a floor to let him drop into, the mid-second.
Yeah.
Which I could see people being scared to take him that early. Like if you're drafting right now, like you probably have confidence Rodgers is going to be there maybe. But if it comes out
now, yeah.
Like let's say it does come out, we get closer to actual draft season here, end of July, and it's being said that Rodgers is not showing up. I don't think you can make me take Adams any earlier than the mid-second, just because there's receivers that I'm going to want to take because I trust the situation a little bit more. That's just me.
Right.
Then our last question here, which Mike wanted me to head back to, is it's from Billy the Kid 92 on Instagram. Michael Carter or Trey Sermon in PPR redraft?
That's a tough one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm leaning more towards Sermon, just because of the fact that, like, Mostert has that injury situation. I mean, don't get me wrong, with Michael Carter, he's probably going to take over that role over Tevin Coleman at some point because, I mean, Tevin Coleman has shown time and time again he can get you your numbers, but he's not going to play the whole season as that number one guy. But I still got to lean more towards Sermon. I think he has more talent than Carter. And with San Fran, they're another one of those teams that tend to use a few of their guys that are in the backfield throughout the season. And just to kind of make sure that Mostert isn't running the whole time because he does have that injury problem, I think that they're going to mix him in there.
Yeah, I mean, that's all good points there. I got to go with Carter, though, because I feel like it's more of a clear path for him to that lead back role. I feel the only way Sermon's getting that is if Mostert goes down with a season-ending injury. I think Sermon will definitely get work with Mostert there. I just don't think he'd take over that role. I mean, who do the Jets have other than Carter? P. Ryan and Coleman. I don't think they're really, threats to lead that backfield. I think it's going to be a committee or Carter will lead it.
Yeah, especially if we're talking about points per reception redraft league. I think Michael Carter wins out for me because he is coming out of college. He is a pass catching back. That's what he's known for. That's his specialty. That's where he's going to get his work. And like you said, it's a clear path for him. However, I do love Sermon. I think if he gets his opportunity, he could absolutely ball out too. Everybody that seems to touch the ball in San Fran balls out. So we could see what happens there. But I just got to go with Williams here, or Carter here, just because I think he's got a clear path to that RB1 role in that offense.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys got anything else tonight?
No,
Yeah,
I mean, I think we're pretty much wrapped up. I mean, unless you guys want to take a look at our draft and see if there's anyone that you want to say that, got a steal in a certain round.
I mean, I'll go back to Bateman. I think that's a steal there, in the last round.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, I'm still gonna sit there with that Gio taken in the last round is gonna be a nice one, especially if he does what I think that he will.
I could see. Bill, he actually got Rodgers and Tua, and with the question marks around Rodgers, like we were saying, having Tua, I think Tua. I'm a believer in Tua's talent, and they put talent around him, so we could actually see him do something this year. So I think that's kind of I don't think it's really a reach, but it's kind of like a safety blanket for Bill's team there.
Mm-hmm. Same thing with Jeremiah's team. I think getting Lawrence in the 13th round could be a steal.
Yeah.
I also like the Amon-Ra St. Brown pick by Micah in the 13th.
Yeah, I mean, even someone like getting Marvin Jones in the 13th round might be a beautiful thing, just because he showed time and time again that he can actually do that.
He's a touchdown beast.
Yeah, and being over in Jacksonville might be beneficial too.
I was absolutely going to take Marvin Jones when I took Perryman, when I took Perryman at 13-1. I was thinking about taking Marvin Jones, but since I already had Chenault, I just wanted, somebody from a different team. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap things up. We're gonna plan on doing another draft next week. Is you guys good with that?
Yes, sir.
All right, I think me and Mike wanted to do just a rookie draft. Maybe we'll go 5 rounds, just so that way we can fill out some content. But otherwise, we'll see you guys next week. And as always,
stay true.
Stay true.